Welcome to the Nathan Nephew Show. I am your host, Nathan Nephew. I want to thank you for all the support and continuing to listen to the Nathan Nephew Show. It's a lot of fun doing it, so hopefully you enjoy it, and it looks like you might. I've gotten a little feedback. I'd like to get a bit more feedback on what you think about going through the Constitution. I know it'll be hard to say, well, no, I hate that. Why would you read the Constitution on your show? The Constitution's dumb. Because I think if you're listening to the show, you obviously don't believe that. You know, and for a lot of you, I'm sure it's just review. You're like, well, yeah, of course, that's that's what the Constitution says. Everybody knows that, or no, you're interpreting that wrong, or whatever. But I'd like to hear those comments. Contact me through my website, nathannephew.com, or just an email, talk@nathannephew.com, or find me on Facebook. We made it through Article 1 already, though, so we're moving on to Article 2, and we're going to start with how presidents and vice presidents are elected, or how they were. Some of this has been amended. I'm going to go through it as is, and we'll go through amendments separately at the end, I think. But after we go through Section 1, or at least part of Section 1, it's fairly long. I'm not sure if I'll have time to get through all of it in one show or not. But predictably, it looks like the Republicans in the House and in the Senate have caved on the government shutdown and the debt ceiling and everything. I mean, they started out strong, and we promised to get rid of Obamacare, so we will not pass a continuing resolution, any appropriations bill that support, that includes funding Obamacare. And then, the Democrats said no. And so they compromised. Democrats said no. They compromised. Democrats. Sounds like they caved. And actually, it's Wednesday. Let's see, October 16th. It looks like just a few minutes ago, the House did pass the bill to open up the government and put off any sort of negotiation for a later date, which we know never happens. But I'll get to that after we go through something much more important. And actually, reading the Constitution or rereading the Constitution, giving it a little review, kind of gives you another perspective of just how far off course this country is getting. It's just, it's sickening. When you look at the words in the Constitution, which I've done several times, and you see that what they say is not at all what we're doing today. Power has shifted and been centralized so much more than what was intended when the Constitution was written. I mean, the president is just, he's changing laws and, granting amnesty to certain classes of illegal immigrants, and just delaying parts of Obamacare, a law that was passed in a shady fashion, but passed nonetheless. And then he, as president, who has no authority to create or change the legislation, just saying, well, we'll just delay this part of it for, a year or two, or it's a coincidence, but I'm going to delay it until just after the midterm election, and maybe, what? It's a coincidence. I mean, it's not my fault, that dates, it's a coincidence. It's sickening. All right, let's get into some good stuff here. We're on Article 2, starting with Section 1, obviously. The executive power shall be vested in a President of the United States of America. He shall hold his office during the term of 4 years, and, together with the Vice President, chosen for the same term, be elected as follows. So, we have the executive branch, President and Vice President. Each state shall appoint in such a manner as the legislature thereof may direct a number of electors equal to the whole number of senators and representatives to which the state may be entitled in the Congress. But no senator or representative or person holding an office of trust or profit under the United States shall be appointed an elector. So each state gets the number of electors, and this is where we're setting up the Electoral College, which you hear about every 4 years, equal to the number of senators, 2, and representatives. And of course, representatives are the number of representatives the state has depends on its size, population, etc. The electors shall meet in their respective states and vote by ballot for 2 persons, of whom one at least shall not be an inhabitant of the same state with themselves. So they vote for 2 people. One of those 2 people cannot live in the same state. And they shall make a list of all persons voted for and of the number of votes for each, which list they shall sign and certify and transmit sealed to the seat of the government of the United States, directed to the President of the Senate. The President of the Senate shall, in the presence of the Senate and House of Representatives, open all certificates, and the votes shall be counted. The person having the greatest number of votes shall be the President, if such number be a majority of the whole number of electors appointed. And if there be more than one who have such majority and have an equal number of votes, then the House of Representatives shall immediately choose by ballot one of them for President. And then, if no person have a majority, then from the 5 highest on the list, the House will choose the President. But in choosing the President, the votes shall be taken by states, the representation from each state having 1 vote. Quorum for this shall consist of a member or members from 2/3 of the states, and a majority of all states shall be necessary to a choice. In every case after the choice of President, the person having the greatest number of votes of the electors shall be Vice President. But if there should remain 2 or more who have equal votes, the Senate shall choose from them by ballot the Vice President. So, the electors from each state chooses 2 people, one who does not live in that state, and then they make a list of all of the people who are voted for in that state. So you have 5 electors. You make a list of all the 5 people that voted for, send it to the President of the Senate in Washington, D.C. And then with the entire Congress in session, the Senate and the House of Representatives, the President of the Senate will open these envelopes and count the votes. Whoever gets the most votes becomes president. Whoever gets the second highest number of votes becomes vice president. Now, this doesn't exactly sound like what we're used to when we have a ballot and we vote for a president with a vice president, like Obama, Biden, Bush, Cheney, that sort of thing. But this is what was written in the Constitution, Article 2. Now, again, I'll remind you, the Constitution has been amended, several times. I mean, not that many, but, quite a few times. So you'll have to pay attention when we get to the amendments to make sure that because some of the stuff I'm saying now definitely is not the law now. So if there's a tie, then the House of Representatives gets to choose the president. And then if there's a tie for vice president, the Senate will choose the vice president. The Congress may determine the time of choosing the electors and the day on which they shall give their votes, which day shall be the same throughout the United States. So the Congress may, now this is important, the Congress may determine the time and date for elections. They may, and may. Now, they do not have to. Congress does not have to choose one specific day that the entire country, all of the United States, votes for president and vice president. And really, they don't have absolute power. If they chose a day and a state decided not to follow it, according to Article 2, Section 1, there isn't much that Congress can do if a state chooses to ignore their selected election day. Now, here's a part of Article 2, Section 1 that has come up a lot recently. I mean, look at Donald Trump and Sheriff Arpaio. And no person except a natural-born citizen or a citizen of the United States at the time of the adoption of this Constitution shall be eligible to the office of President. Neither shall any person be eligible to that office who shall not have attained the age of 35 years and been 14 years a resident within the United States. So, natural-born citizens or citizens of the United States at the time of the adoption of the Constitution can be president. They're only natural-born citizens can be president of the United States. You have to be 35 years old and been a resident of the United States for 14 years. In case of removal of president from office or of his death, resignation, or inability to discharge the powers and duties of the said office, the same shall devolve on the vice president, and the Congress may by law provide for the case of removal, death, resignation, or inability both of the president and vice president, declaring what officer shall then act as president, and such officer shall act accordingly until the disability be removed, or a president shall be elected. So, president dies, vice president becomes president. These are the few things in the Constitution that I remember learning about in school. And also, if Congress says that, well, you're not really, you're sick or you're not able to carry out your duties, you can be removed from office temporarily. Somebody else appointed to fill the position, and then until it's decided that the president can, take his role back. The president shall, at stated times, receive for his services a compensation, which shall neither be increased nor diminished during the period for which he shall have been elected, and he shall not receive within that period any other emolument from the United States or any of them. So the president gets paid a compensation which can't change while he's in office. We know that. I think it's $400,000 a year now, I believe. And he can't take any other payment from either the United States or from any specific individual state. Before he enter on the execution of his office, he shall take the following oath of affirmation. I do solemnly swear that I will faithfully execute the office of President of the United States and will, to the best of my ability, preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution of the United States. Now, we've heard every president, Ellie said there was a recording made of, we've heard them all take that oath that they will do everything they can to preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution of the United States. Very few of them have actually done that. Definitely our current president has not done much to preserve, protect, or defend the Constitution of the United States. In fact, he sees it as a big roadblock and would probably be very happy to just rewrite it, if not just rip it in half and not have a Constitution, because you don't need a Constitution in a dictatorship.
When it comes to TV, if you can't see the difference, why pay the difference? Switch to Dish for the best value in entertainment. Not only will you find the same channels you know and love for less, Dish sweetens the deal with free HD for life and premium movie channels free for 3 months, including Blockbuster at Home. You can also save a bundle when you combine DishNet high-speed internet with your TV service. Why would you ever pay more for TV? Switch to Dish and see what real value is. Free HD for life, premium channels free for 3 months, scores of movies with Blockbuster at home, premium savings when you bundle DishNet high-speed internet service. Limited time offer, 24-month agreement with credit qualification required. Cancellation fee, auto pay, and paperless billing and other restrictions apply. Call for details.
Call Dish Satellite, your Dish authorized retailer now. 800-507-9468. 800-507-9468. 800-507-9468. That's 800-507-9468.
Red State Talk Radio is All American Talk Radio.
The Nathan Nephew Show. Somewhat unique.
Somewhat unique?
Yes, somewhat unique.
All right, welcome back to the Nathan Nephew Show. I am Nathan Nephew. Once again, head over to my website, nathannephew.com, and as you heard, stay tuned in right here to Red State Talk Radio. Let me know what you think. The first half, going through Constitution piece by piece, and the second half, just kind of ramblings from me. Let me know what you think. Talk at nathannephew.com. Look me up on Facebook, all that good stuff. It looks like, and during the break I was doing a little bit of research and found something that might be quite humorous here, but I'm not really sure what it means. It looks like the Republicans have caved. Like I said at the beginning, they've caved to exactly what Obama wants, and what the Democrats want, and that is to just completely fund everything in the government, including things we don't want, including pet projects of Republicans like Mitch McConnell. So let's not forget that he is a Republican pretending like he really cares about his constituents, and he's really, really dedicated to getting rid of Obamacare. But, as long as we're going to fund the government, I might as well get a few $1 million in there for some of my projects and some of the people who donated to my campaign. But a couple hours ago, the Senate passed their version of a continuing resolution, which is interesting that a spending bill originated in the Senate. But, logistics. It's a full, clean, continuing resolution to end the government shutdown, as well as raise the debt ceiling. I think it'll fund the government through February or something, and similar time frame, a few months for the debt ceiling. We won't reach it again because we need to avoid we need to avoid defaulting on our debt, right? Because when you have debt, right, so you have credit card debt. In order to avoid defaulting on debt, because you can't pay it with the cash that you already have, what you have to do is borrow more. You have to raise your credit limit so you can pay off your credit debt, which is exactly what the argument is. Well, if we don't raise the debt limit, the U.S. will default. For the first time ever, will default on its debt. What we need to do, we need to borrow money so we can pay off the money we borrowed. It doesn't make any sense. The federal government brings in way more revenue than needed to make interest and principal payments on the debt we currently have. What would need to happen had the debt ceiling not been raised? And what the hell do we have a debt ceiling for if it's going to get raised every 3 to 6 months? Why not just remove it? Now, that is a question I have. I don't know, because I know part of what the president has wanted was full reign, complete control over the debt ceiling, to be able to just raise it willy-nilly, borrow anything he wanted. And essentially, with the president we have, there would be no debt ceiling. I don't know if the president did get what he wanted on that. I haven't looked at the bills. I haven't really. The House just passed it, 20 minutes ago from when I started recording. So it's waiting, as far as I know, it's waiting for the president's signature. But we spent all this time. The government was shut down. We dealt with our veterans being disgraced, with their memorials being closed and them being kicked out of Washington, D.C., some of them being arrested, they having to take down barriers themselves. We're talking World War II veterans, 80, 85-year-olds in wheelchairs, trying to get in to see a memorial that's put there because of them, because of what they did for this country. We made them go through that because our president's a coward and he wanted this government shutdown, just like the sequester, to be as painful as possible. And now we'll just throw our hands up. You know what? It didn't work. We tried negotiating. You wouldn't talk to us. I guess since you wouldn't talk to us, we'll just give you everything you want. Does that make any sense? If you're going to stand for something, damn it, stand for it. When a Democrat is on the campaign trail, they act like conservatives, and we know always for sure they are not conservatives. They're going to be as liberal as all get out and create big government. The Republicans, in general, Ted Cruz, Rand Paul to an extent, and Mike Lee, they're different. Those sorts of and some in the House, but Republicans are doing the same thing, and they have been. It's not new, but I mean, they campaign as conservatives. I don't. Most Republicans that I know of that campaigned in 2010, they campaigned on getting rid of Obamacare, and some of them stood strong on it until now, and I don't understand. I do understand, but it's not right. The reason they're caving now is that media pressure is getting to them. They're seeing polls that, people are blaming the Republicans. They're ignoring the polls that, say that all of the government is at fault or that nobody wants Obamacare. They're seeing the very specific polls that are reported in the mainstream media that claim that Republicans are losing the battle. And they weren't. They were not. They needed to stand strong and actually stand for something. As it is, when they stand up and they make it big enough where they shut the government down, right? And to me, that's not a big thing. I really wasn't that concerned about the government shutdown, nor reaching the debt limit, because we're not going to default unless you have a president that does it intentionally, which I believe would have happened. But when they stand for something long enough to get the government shut down, cause all this hullabaloo, and then when the pressure gets a little too tough on them, they start to feel the pinch. They just give up. White flag, where's it at? Get my white flag. I'm going to wave it. Mr. President, you can have anything you want, please. Please just tell MSNBC to stop making fun of us, because we can't take it anymore. It's ridiculous. It's as sickening as anything. The thing I was talking about that was funny, apparently there was, right after the House passed the bill, it sounded like there was a protester screaming, in the gallery or something. It turns out it was actually a stenographer, a House stenographer, screaming something about God won't be mocked, and I don't really know. I'll try to get some information on that, but that was pretty funny. I mean, out of all of this, the caving, the pandering. Now, here's why the Republicans say they do this. Obama would not negotiate on anything while the government was shut down, but he promises, and he's so trustworthy. He's the president. He is so trustworthy. He promises. He gave us his word, and we know how good his word is. He gave us his word that he will talk to us once we open up the government. He'll just give us 3 to 6 months, some time, because we couldn't have negotiated 3 to 6 months ago. But now, if we open the government and give him everything he wants and ensure that Obamacare goes ahead, as horribly as it's been going already, and just does as much damage to this country as possible, then, then he'll talk to us. Now, real quick, the other argument that has been coming up about Obamacare is, well, why don't we just let it implement, let it be put in place, and wait. Everybody will see how bad it is, and then in 2014 and 2016, then we can, the Republicans will win back the Senate, they'll keep the House, and they'll win the presidency, because everyone will see how bad Obamacare is, and then we can repeal Obamacare. There's a couple really big problems with that, and one is our president, who is not following the Constitution, which we saw in Article 1, says Congress, and only Congress, has authority to create and change legislation. Our president has said, well, it's called Obamacare, so I can just delay parts that are painful until after the election. So there are parts that we will not see until it's too late for the midterms. Problem number one. Problem number two, there has been no entitlement that I know of, no government entitlement that has ever been fully repealed. Just look at Social Security and how much of a disaster that is. Look at the backlash that Bush got when he mentioned privatizing it. Didn't even really try that hard. Just kind of mentioned it in passing, and whoa, end of the world. He's trying to take away retiree benefits. So think about that when you're talking about healthcare, when you're talking about a perception of keeping people living, when in fact we know it's the exact opposite, but just think about that. Do you think you're going to be able to pry that out of people's hands? The ones that vote Democrat now because they get free stuff, that might get free health care. It might be terrible health care, but it'll be free. It'll be from Uncle Obama. Just imagine trying to take that away. That's all the time I have, though. NathanNephew.com, and stay right here, redstatetalkradio.com, and send me an email, look me up at Facebook, all that good stuff. I will see you next week.